Welcome and thank you so much for joining me, Holly James, and our Juice Recruitment Leading in Lockdown for another episode. Today I'm going to be talking to the lovely Jane Thomas from the Southwest Contact Centre Forum. So thank you so much for joining me today, Jane. It's lovely to have you and to be chatting to you a bit more about what the Contact Centre Forum is doing at the moment.
A very good morning to you, Holly, and thank you for the invite. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Fantastic. Well, look, I'm going to just kick off really, I think. And I think really what we've just been talking about is that we're all kind of feeling that this kind of whole last sort of 11, 12 months has been a real challenge. And it's required a lot of organisations to adapt and diversify. And we know that definitely the Contact Centre Forum has done that beautifully. We've been attending your weekly forums on a Friday, which have been so insightful and really useful in terms of the information that you're sharing with the members. But what would you say has been the biggest challenge moving into the lockdown and into sort of a pandemic? We thought the end was kind of at December. We've come back into January, and boom, we've had another lockdown. So tell me a bit more about how you've managed that challenge, and moving forward with it.
Well, yeah, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that, because you mentioning that you're attending Friday Update is really one of the support mechanisms that the forum has put in place to support us through this challenging time. When we first set it in place, Holly, which I guess puts everything into context, we actually thought that it would be for a couple of months, namely get us through lockdown 1, and then we'll roll into whatever the new business as usual is. And actually what's happened is that Friday Update, as the name suggests, has become our Friday connection with the industry, and 30 minutes of seeing familiar faces, other professionals that represent the great industry that you and I are a part of and endorse with such respect. But that really takes us to the question that you asked. What are the biggest challenges maybe that have come out of lockdown? But also, I'd like to focus on the opportunities as well. Because the first time that we had lockdown, Holly, there was no doubt about it. We were all caught on the back foot. There was a great sense of panic and really all hands to the deck. And the industry, as you know, and you yourselves as a business, had to adapt overnight. And there was, I would describe it as panic, which then became organised chaos to start with.
That's a good way to describe it, I think.
Yeah,
definitely. It was panic. It was panic stations. Everyone was, we didn't see it coming, did we? Really, I think that's the thing. And for just to be so full on so quickly, I think, businesses had to just, like you say, overnight look at their business and move it all online, which for some businesses were probably more set up than others, and others were, had a much bigger challenge ahead of them.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the size of businesses that we're blessed to deal with thousands of employees that, have got to all of a sudden move from bricks and mortar to their homes, the carnage, and I use that word with respect, that could have caused if they'd got it horribly wrong, would have been devastating for both the brand and the customers. It was already challenging enough. But we've got through that lockdown 1. We all came out the other end and better for it, because it is quoted that it catapulted us in terms of thinking of the future workforce by circa 6 years. And it really forced the hands of boards to say we must empower our people through systems, through technology, through processes, and trust them to do a good job when they're not being visually and literally overseen.
And I think you say trust. I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? I think a lot of companies that we've spoken to and that we're talking at the forum on a weekly basis were already had plans to move somewhat online, maybe having more flexible working pattern for their staff, because that's what employees really want right now. And actually the kind of hardest point was just kind of going for it and taking that leap of faith and trusting your employees or staff to do what they need to do from home. And actually it forced everyone's hands. And I think speaking to clients now on the other side of it, it's great to hear that, you know, employees have really stepped up and have really mostly enjoyed working from home. There have been challenges, but I think that it's great to see that it's, like I say, I love that empowering, you know, employees, which I think is great.
It is, and we've seen wonderful case studies across the piece of and almost acts of extreme kindness that have come out of that lockdown. As we've moved into lockdown 2, I would suggest, Holly, from what we're picking up as industry fora, is that it's a very different feeling. We're prepared. We don't particularly enjoy it, but we're prepared. That panic has been taken away, that we're in control. And also, due to the vaccine programme, we do see it as a light at the end of the tunnel. That doesn't mean that it's going to ever go back to what it was. I truly believe it won't. I think we've all looked at the productivity it's given us, the better work-life balance. You know, there are pros and cons around that, and we'll come on to discuss that. But it's given us the opportunity to recalibrate. And that recalibration has been very, very powerful. There's still a lot of work to do to maximize upon the opportunity, but it's certainly forced our hands to look at being creative, agile, absolutely resilient, which has been, you know, a real test, and to innovate and to almost forge forward with things that might have taken us some time. So, you know, in terms of the biggest challenges moving forward, to directly answer that first question, because we digressed a little, is that the biggest challenges, I think, are positive ones. How can we maximize on the opportunity this has given us to press the reset button and get it right? Because what's gone is gone. We've got to look forward and make the most of this, which I genuinely think businesses are already doing, you know, and taking that opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and I think they're very much right there. You know, so many businesses, if not all businesses now, are thinking, you know, this is not forever. We know that with the vaccine rollout and planning for the future is really key now, and that's what businesses are thinking and looking towards the latter part of 2021. And I think, you know, one thing we've touched upon today very much is about how, you know, we work in a very customer focused environment, and we know, and you know, from what the forum has talked about and what I've spoken to clients about, it's very much about, you know, customers' requirements have really changed, and we've seen that really you know, kind of diversify, I guess, and adapt through the pandemic. So when the pandemic first hit, you know, customers were a lot more lenient. They didn't mind being on the phone or waiting to hear back, you know, regarding their query. We now are hearing that customers are actually now aware that everything is so much more online and so much more digital, that the answers that they want should be instantaneous, which is a really big challenge for organisations to provide that type and level of support to their customers day in, day out, some of them 365 days a year. So, you know, with that kind of comes the managing of customers over distance and expanding digital delivery. You know, what areas would you say have been affected the most and affecting clients within the South West Contact Centre Forum, and what have they done to drive their business forward, would you say, to overcome these challenges?
Well, the digital arena is huge. And, you know, you and I are customers. You know, we might be sophisticated customers because we're in an industry where our livelihood depends on delivering exceptional service. But there's nothing more frustrating, is there, Holly, when you make that communication, whichever way you've made it, and you don't get the service that you expect. And, you know, I don't think businesses moving forward can get away with that pre-recorded message up front through their IVR. due to COVID, we are, it doesn't quite sit very comfortably at the moment. Yes, there are challenges, but we've had nearly a year to get that right. So what we're seeing is a lot of transformation. And this is going back to my first point about seeing a challenge as an opportunity. That reset button being absolutely pushed and pushed hard. And that's because the business has got to respond to a customer that is now contacting them through a multi-channel offering. It has presented challenges because a lot of businesses do not have the one customer view. So namely, they will have separate legacy systems, which and each part can contain, customer information. So when you're then working from home as an agent, and you maybe don't have that one view of the customer, hence the complexity and hence then the level of service going down. So the biggest piece where you talk about, expanding on delivery is how can businesses become digitally effective? How can they have one view of the customer? And frankly, that's where a lot of the tech companies have stepped up to the plate and are having a very good time of it right now because they've got the solutions in place to enable businesses to do just that. Long gone are the days as well with technology where it involves a huge one-off capital spend. The tech companies these days absolutely will work with the customer with their respective budgets and their needs, with their respective phasing. So there's been a real push from many businesses that we deal to transform on two levels. Transform in terms of their people piece, which is have we got the right structure and skills in place to deliver the service that is required of the future? And have we got the technology on the other side to be able to deliver robustly what we need to deliver as a service? So there, people and technology in contact centers, that's nothing new. But
it's definitely not.
That is a contact center. Yeah. However, the exciting part about that is the CX piece, the customer experience.
Yeah, it's huge, that really focus now, isn't it?
And, it's exciting to see the way companies are developing that. The other piece that goes with that is that how traditional delivery streams are being regenerated to be more flexible in line with customer demands. So we're seeing traditional field sales teams that maybe, engineers going out normally into, with vans on the road are suddenly being transformed into roles that are delivered digitally 24/7 through technology and only escalated up if indeed that requirement is there. So, we're seeing a lot of innovation. And the other piece that goes with this is when we talk about people, of course, your business is in the people business. And so you'll know that we've really had to adapt as well about how we recruit, how we onboard, and how we then train into the business when many individuals will not have even met their respective teams or been to their traditional, bricks and mortar setup. So, there's so many exciting things that are going on. But in terms of delivering service, the same principles are there. Know your customer through your customer data is imperative. What's your customer management system like? Who's managing it? Do you understand how they're reacting to you? And then have you got the right technology in place to be able to ensure that you can meet that dynamic customer base, and then have your agents or your teams got the required skills to be able to deliver that. And again, there's nothing new that I've said there. It's just that the technology has enabled us to refine our customer experience journey and effort if you get it right. And that's where the differentiator will be, Holly, in terms of, you know, the companies that people want to work for, the successful companies. If you peel back the layers, the biggest differentiator will be how they react with their customers, and are they delivering the right channels of service to their customers.
100%.
That's it.
Because customers are more vocal now, aren't they? There's so many opportunities for customers to feedback, not just to an organisation, but now to the whole world. So I think that is a really big area for companies to get right, and get it right the first time, isn't it?
And we've all been forced through this time personally. You know, I wasn't really into ordering my grocery shopping online. You know, there was something rather nice about going to, you know, my favorite supermarket and, you know, buy what I need. And I still, you know, it's the highlight actually of the week at the moment.
It is the highlight of the week, of everyone's week.
It is, isn't it? You know, as sad as it is. But what that's done is that whereas you have maybe you would have had reluctant customers in the past, through this situation that we've all gone through, we've all been exposed to getting used to doing things digitally that ordinarily we wouldn't have even sniffed at. So the speed of change has been greater. And also I think, you know, the way that we communicate, Holly, is very different. You know, we've had a lot of time to reflect. And I genuinely think that, you know, customers, people who are customers, have got used to this, you know, this connection in one way, which isn't so arduous as having to jump in a car and do something. Make it easy, 24/7. It's great.